Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Wynn. I'm 34 years old, and I want to start by saying I loved my mother deeply, even when she didn't make it easy, even when I had to be the strong one, even at the very end. But this story isn't really about losing her. It's about what my sister did while my mother was still breathing, and the phone call I got at 2:47 in the morning that changed everything. My mom, Linda, was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer in the spring of 2 years ago. By that summer, we were already talking to hospice. I was the one who moved back to help. I took remote work. I rearranged my entire life. My sister Dana, she was 29, lived 40 minutes away, no kids, flexible schedule, showed up maybe twice a month, sometimes less. That was nothing new. Dana had always been the one who floated in and out. She had a way of appearing when things were good and disappearing when things got hard. My mother never seemed to notice, or maybe she just didn't want to. About 3 months before the end, I started noticing things were off. Small things at first. A bracelet my mom always wore, gone from her nightstand. An envelope she'd kept in her top dresser drawer for years, missing. I asked my mom about it gently. She got confused easily by then. She thought maybe she'd moved them herself. I didn't push it, but I noticed. Then one evening, I came back from a grocery run, and the house felt different. I can't explain it better than that. It just felt like someone had been there. A drawer slightly open, the closet door not fully shut. Dana had a key. She'd always had a key. That night, I ordered a small hidden camera off Amazon. I told myself it was probably nothing. It wasn't nothing. My parents had a small, fireproof safe in the master bedroom closet. Inside were the things that mattered. My mother's jewelry, my father's watch. He'd passed 6 years earlier. Some cash, the deed to the house, important documents. My mom had told me the combination years ago. She trusted me with it. She never mentioned giving it to Dana. 2 weeks after I installed the camera, angled toward the closet, I got an alert on my phone at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. Motion detected. I opened the app. There was Dana, standing in my mother's closet, in the dark, with her phone flashlight, opening the safe. I watched her take out the jewelry pouch, my father's watch, a white envelope that I knew held emergency cash. She put it all in her tote bag, shut the safe like nothing happened, and left. My mother was asleep in the next room. She was on oxygen. She had maybe weeks left, and her daughter was robbing her. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't confront Dana. I saved the footage to a cloud backup, and I waited. I needed to think. 3 weeks later, my mother took a turn. The hospice nurse, a kind woman named Margaret, had been there every day that final week. That night, I'd gone home around midnight. My mom was stable. Margaret was with her. I told myself to get a few hours of sleep. My phone rang at 2:47 a.m. It was Margaret. She said, quietly but urgently, "Rachel, I think you need to come, and I think you need to know something before you get here." She told me that Dana had shown up around 1 a.m., that she'd let herself in with her key, that she'd gone into the bedroom, past their sleeping mother, and had been in that closet again for almost 20 minutes. Margaret had pretended to be occupied with charting in the hallway, but she'd seen. She said Dana had left with a bag. I drove to my mother's house, shaking. When I arrived, my mother was still alive, barely. Her breathing had changed, that long, slow pattern that Margaret had warned me about. Dana was not there. I sat with my mom. I held her hand, and at 4:18 in the morning, she passed away quietly. I didn't cry right away. I just sat there in the silence of that room, holding her hand, thinking about everything she'd been through, everything we'd been through. And I thought about Dana, driving home in the dark with my father's watch in her bag. I didn't confront Dana at the funeral. I wanted to. Every time I looked at her standing there in her black dress, crying on cue, accepting condolences, I felt sick. But I kept my mouth shut. I had the footage. I had Margaret as a witness. I had the safe, which I'd photographed and inventoried after my mother passed, and which was now mostly empty. 2 weeks after the funeral, I contacted an attorney, and then I called Dana. I kept my voice steady. I told her we needed to sit down and talk about Mom's estate. She agreed, cheerfully, like nothing was wrong. We met at her apartment. I brought my phone. I pulled up the footage and I set it on her kitchen table and I pressed play. The silence was unlike anything I've ever experienced. She watched herself on that screen, in the dark, in our mother's closet, taking everything, and I watched her. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She said, "That's not what it looks like." I said, "Dana, Mom was dying in the next room." She said, "She told me I could have those things." I asked her to prove it. She couldn't. The attorney advised me that what Dana had done likely constituted theft from the estate. My mother had a will, one that split everything equally between us, and the items Dana took were inventoried as estate assets. We sent Dana a formal letter. She returned some items, the watch, a few pieces of jewelry. The cash was gone. The envelope, which had held over $4,000, she claimed she never touched. The camera footage said otherwise. We didn't take her to court in the end. The attorney said we could, but it would be expensive, painful, and uncertain. Instead, we reached a legal agreement. Dana signed a document acknowledging what she'd taken and repaid the estimated value from her share of the estate. She lost significantly from her inheritance, and she lost me. I've thought a lot about why Dana did it. I don't think it was purely about money. I think it was about something older and uglier, a lifetime of feeling like she deserved more, like the rules didn't apply to her, like my mother's things were already hers. She'd been treated like the favorite, and even that wasn't enough. I still grieve my mother. I grieve the version of my family I always hoped we could be. I grieve that my mom never knew what happened, or maybe she did, somewhere in those final weeks, and just couldn't say it. Margaret reached out to me a few months later. She said she'd seen families fracture during end-of-life care more times than she could count. She said, "The dying bring out the truth in people." I think about that a lot. If you've ever been the one who showed up, who stayed, who gave everything, while someone else took, then you already know how this feels. You don't need me to explain it. And if you're going through something like this right now, I just want to say, document everything, trust your gut, and don't let grief make you doubt what you clearly saw. I loved my mother. I still do. But I will never forgive what my sister did in that closet while our mother was still breathing, and I don't feel guilty about that anymore. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, if you've ever been the invisible child, the one who showed up, the one who was overlooked, I would really love to hear from you in the comments. You're not alone. And if you want to hear more stories like this one, there are more waiting for you right here. Take care of yourself tonight.